Alright, well, this is my first live. Come on. Go. This way. I gotta pull this down and end up editing it. I have actually 0 people in the live. It's awesome. Alright, let me put a hat on. Welcome in. Let's shut this up. Skull. Slap. That's funny as hell. That's pretty funny. All right, so I have a feeling I'm gonna have to make some adjustments soon. But right now, we're just gonna go with this. All right, Mike. All right, Mike in. Headphones. I'm putting on a saying this is my first ever live on YouTube, but I am doing this as a live podcast, so I'll edit it and cut it down. Can you hear me? I need my headphones in. Alright, my audio is about to get good. Hello? Hello? No, hello? No, nope. Hello? 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 Oh wait, it's better. Hello? Alright, cool. Now I can hear that. I got reverb out the wazoo. Alright, I'm going over original sound. Okay, cool. Yeah. No, I did this for, it's a mixing board. It's a wireless mixing board part for podcasting. So I want to start a podcast that I'm going to put up on just like me, my thoughts. But, oh, by the way, these are room boxes for rune sets. It's a box dedicated to Loki. So I make these. I just opened up a Shopify store, so I have whole rune sets up there. I have, a whole bunch of other stuff. It's being built daily. It went live earlier today, so it's being built every day. I'm working on it. All right, so this podcast is sponsored by How to Eat, and welcome to Yggdrasil Rising, where we talk about the Norse pagan pet, heathenry, Asatru, whatever you use it as your name, and how it affects, how we use this in a modern context to guide our lives. First off, what is heathenry, Asatru? So, what is heathenry? What is Asatru? So, Asatru is a term that was coined in Iceland in the 70s by people that were by a group that was interested in bringing back the ancient ways of Scandinavian worship. So that includes, what we know as Norse mythology. That's Thor, Odin, Loki, those gods, the old ways, formed, seed, the ancient ways. So that started in like the 70s in Iceland and in Scandinavia, specifically a lot of it in Iceland. And, we turned to Iceland a lot because, that's where the Eddas was written. That's where Snorri wrote down, the Court of Tresius, where he wrote the Prose Edda, and then the Poetic Edda was written about 50 years later, probably by his nephews, we believe. That was to preserve the stories of the gods. Snorri did it just to preserve the poetry, the skaldic poetry. So through the Christianization of Europe, what was now the umbrella term of paganism, Norse paganism, anything that is um, not for the Mike Jones. That kind of speech isn't really. I don't know if you are the trans woman. I'm not trans woman. I'm cis male, and I'm heterosexual. I should be answering comments. Uh, Doing like I'm on TikTok live. Uh, so, what was I talking about? And we look to Iceland for a lot of the modern ways. What we look at in this modern Asatru, this modern lens that we try to look at the ancient, the ways that we believe, and we're trying to recreate. I wouldn't say recreate, reconstruct, and it's a belief system that's based on honor. It's based on one's word. It's based on. It's based on. You know, honor, loyalty, respect, improving oneself. It is, based on believing that we are natural parts of the world, not that we are above the world. That's one of the harder things to deconstruct from. But what it is, a lot of people may come to it because they've seen the show Vikings and they hear Airload and then they got a lot more to learn. Or people have seen Marvel or Marvel comic movies, Thor. I appreciate that. Just a guy doing things. What's up? What's up, Joe? So yeah, so I where was I? I was talking about Asatru. I got distracted by the comments. No, I'm getting Jesus Christ. They yeah, what's up, Pagan friends? So yeah, what was I talking about? All right, so modern heathenry, right? Asatru, Norse paganism, whatever you call it. So we, it is. I wanted to do the topic of this live. The topic of what I was talking about is that so many heathens come to this path when they're just broken, and at the lowest point. When they're at their lowest point and they're not, and they're looking for some spirituality. They're looking for something to help them out and to believe in, something to believe in. And this is, believe it or not, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people that kind of lived outside the law, kind of modern societal law. They're the people that tend to gravitate towards this path. I think a lot of it has to do with the word, your word meaning so much in it. Nice. So, I think people, when they come to these paths, society has failed them, or they feel that society has failed them, and they, I know for a while there, especially when I was in, when I was in recovery, in early recovery specifically, I prayed to the Christian God constantly for, and I never felt anything. I never felt any reciprocation. There was never any reciprocity. I absolutely have felt that on this path. I have absolutely felt the presence of the gods. And it is powerful when that is one hell of a car going by, huh? It is very powerful when they what's up for yeah, outside is civilian. That's actually what the word originally meant, was civilian. It was used by the Roman military in like one BCE up until like 2 BCE is civilian. It just meant somebody that wasn't Roman military. And then as Christianization of Rome happened, the word became more of a blanket term for someone that wasn't Christian, wasn't Abrahamic specifically. Because if you were Jewish, you weren't a pagan. They didn't call you that. So, and they tried to make it because, like, oh, country dweller, the old ways. We've been told all our lives it's superstition, it's folklore. There's so many things that we grow up with in America, in the U.S., just in general, that are in our modern society that come from that come from paganism. They come from pagan traditions. They come from they come from the ancient ways. Most of the holidays that we have on the modern calendar they were pagan celebrations at one point or another, in a different way. Christmas was Saturnalia, and then it took on aspects of Yule, and Yule was moved so that it could, they can coincide. They kind of like merged into one, and that's what Christianity was really good at. Christianity did not even Christianity, Abrahamicism, Abrahamics. They took over. It became the predominant religion of the world, became the predominant deity in the world, not by sacredness and not by love, by force, by political force, by physical force, by threat of, I don't know YouTube's guidelines, but by threat of unaliving. There was a lot of political rhetoric, a lot of laws that were used to ban people off. And all through the years, it just, it was used as a way of getting into higher society, and that's why the word pagan became derogatory. It became country folk. It was just simple. You don't understand anything, and what a way to get the wolf to to get the sheep to follow. You know what I mean? There's so many things that I got a video that I'm working on right now. I'm scripting. That is, I was a heathen before I was a heathen. Like, there's so many things that I believe in that I found in the past that I already believed in before I even knew that they were actually a thing. It was just something that was inherently in my makeup, in my ecosystem. It was just inherently in my soul. So. And I know that's for a lot of people. I just think that they don't realize it when they're doing it. Constantine, I've served for a decade. Yeah. I mean, thank you for your service, by the way. But that first and foremost. These are little echo. All right, good. That's better. That sounds better. It's not much of an echo. Not as much of an echo. Yeah, it finds all right, there's a great point, perfect point what I was talking about. Why does the military embrace Norse paganism so much? Asatru is absolutely a recognized spirituality. You can get, I believe, I don't know, I've never served, I'm not claiming I was ever military, but I believe, from what I know from a few friends that have served and that are Norse pagan, you can get Asatru, Norse pagan, or pagan on your dog tags. And there's actually groups right now that are working on, because the U.S. military is not like not like the population. It's not like a lot of the heathen communities that don't want a central organization. They don't want, and I believe we're long overdue for one. I believe that we're long overdue for a larger, some kind of democratic community, which is difficult, but it's something that is not a governing board, I don't want to say, but a source of information, a source of good, inclusive information, not propaganda, not something that's being used to push a political agenda, which is what, unfortunately, a lot of the original publications on this path that came out were propaganda for, WS ideology. Yes, I agree with the warrior. But I don't think this is only just a path to the warrior too. I mean, it's so one here, and I have a video on this too. The whole rhetoric of the Vikings being simple farmers, that was propaganda by the little mustache men in the 30s. I'm sorry, like that was pushed on after. I mean, that came on into the picture even after horns like came onto helmets. Give me 1 second. All right. Sorry about that. Thank you for. Okay, I got lost this. There we go. What did I pull up? Again, where was I? So the U.S. military, it embraces the warrior, like the whole warrior aspect of it. But it's not just the warrior aspect and the simple farmer becoming a warrior, picking up arms and jumping on a boat and going raiding across the seas. That was a rhetoric to try and inspire people that in World War in 1930s Germany to that was to inspire. Hey, you can just pick up and you can help the cause for us. So it's funny how like the parts of this path for centuries have been used as propaganda and as tools, and used blatantly used by Christianity. Um, and the term also true, like so that faith in the Azir, right? But that's not the only path, so like there's people that thirst true and Roka true and Lokians, and I personally I call myself a heathen. I feel the difference between like heathens, Norse pagan, also true, especially in the U.S., especially in America, is heathens are more people that are more nature centric with their belief, and I feel that people that are more anthropomorphic gods and anthropomorphic deity worship, I feel like they call themselves more Norse pagan or also true. Um, Whereas it's not that I don't believe in anthropomorphic, in them being anthropomorphic beings, the gods. It's a combination, in my opinion. They're a force of nature that has the ability to become an anthropomorphic being. Um, are the realms physical planes of existence? Are they other planets? Like, did Marvel get that part right? Like, because I put that question was how big. Somebody asked me how big was Asgard. Like, what's the geographic size of it? I never thought of something like that. Like, it was like a young heathen too. Like they were, somebody that was like 6 months on the path, and it was such a simple question that it was something that I never even thought of. Like, is there, did Marvel get it right? Like, are the 9 realms actual physical planets? And is the ancient astronaut theory, they talk about that too on Ancient Aliens. Like, were the gods actual visitors from another planet? Were the Norse gods visitors from another planet? And, or are they forces in nature? Are they a combination of both? Are they metaphysical? Are they interdimensional beings? Like, um, are the 9 realms inside us? Like, there's so many ways to look at it that no one really wants to have this governing body. But if we have to put the military, they want these levels of structure. They want this organization. They want this, hey, this person, took these courses or took this test and they passed it, and they have measurable incremental rubrics for outcomes, right? We don't have a governing body to do that. There are some people that are working towards that. I agree with some of them. And I believe that that's something, especially in this country, that'll do good. Like I don't think we should. It's not a governing body. I don't want to say governing body. That's the wrong fucking word. That's absolutely the wrong word. I apologize for even saying it like that. I don't want it like some kind of like informative resource, something that can say like, hey, this person knows the lore. This person has an understanding of human nature and psychology, and this person took a course that makes them spiritual, and they're based on this, and they can have the title of Gothar. Um, you know, now what's the requirements for being a Gothi today? The requirements for being a Gothi today is saying that I'm a Gothi in a room full of people and not being laughed at. That's absolutely the requirements, right? Um, the requirements. So, like, and then there's some people that say, hey, a Gothi should only be a Gothi for that ceremony, not at all time. Um, we're not reverends. We're not priests. Like they weren't reverends. They're not priests like the Gothi. So what constitutes somebody to have should we have a body that hey, this person passed the test for be a skald? No, but I think as far as like the states, we use. Have I considered becoming a Gothi? No. Um, I've thought about it. Yes, absolutely. But I'm not at that point in my spirituality where I'm ready to. I don't. So this is gonna sound weird. I'm not ready to guide others. Because I'm not guiding others with my videos. I'm just telling you how I did it and my research and with the conclusions that I have. And I absolutely my videos, my shorts, my longs, they absolutely have my political bias. You know what I mean? So anybody that says that they're not teaching from their own political bias, they're lying. Because I look at things certain ways because of my own personal beliefs, like and I've heard this before in the heathen communities and the Austro communities. Do I think Ragnarok already happened? There's an argument for that. The argument is that right now we're in the rebuilding stage. There's like one thing, the rebuilding would be with the Sons of Thor. I just feel like Marvel helped. I don't know. That always comes to me when I read that. When I read that part of the Bulls book, that one line about the Sons of Thor. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it just like Marvel hit me in my head when I saw that. A Gothi, D-Claw. A Gothi is the equivalent of a minister or a priest in the heathen community. It's a religious person. It's someone that leads ceremonies. They really lead religious ceremonies that we call rituals. And the rituals that we do, some aspects of them have been passed down through generations, the structure of them. Some of them we pull from the archaeological record, we pull from historical record. But as far, I've been quite a few rituals, I've run a few myself. I've never met somebody that said, "Hey, yeah, I went to a ritual and it was, on." Like if somebody had said, "Oh yeah, I'm the 13th freaking descendant of a Volvo," come on, man. Like you know what I mean? Like I know I'm very, very good friends. I'm very good friends with Snorri Sturluson's great grandson, 23rd generation. Now, like that's not a DNA thing. That's not a 23 and me. That's like that's pride of his family, of the family, because like he, they can trace that through the record. So if there is a historical or archaeological record or something, I'll go with it. If somebody's telling me that, yeah, I learned this in the countryside. All right, whatever, bro. Come on, that's cool. Good story. Yeah, Gothar. They a Gothi, they're a religious leader. They're just somebody that, and there are different viewpoints on it. Some people feel that a Gothi should run a kindred. Uh, usually there's a Gothi and a chieftain. Like a chieftain is like the political face, and the Gothi is the spiritual face, right? Like they're the ones that kind of like. So you got to understand that the modern kindreds were based off of motorcycle club structure. like when it was started in the late 70s, early 80s in upstate New York in the United States, right? That's really where they first took off, right? It was upstate New York. They spread, and now there's few, some here, there, some split, some were problems, some are trying to get rid of the problem. Um, you know, so the Gothi is like the religious leader. Almost, if you're looking at, motorcycle club structure or any kind of organization structure, almost like a secretary, but a religious aspect. Like how the secretary runs the meetings, you know what I mean? And the president would be like the chieftain, right? So, like the president is like the face of the club, but like when they're in a meeting or a ritual, the secretary is in charge. When someone has a question about things and the way things work inside that organization, they usually go to the secretary. So that's usually like the Gothi's role in a modern day heathen kindred. And there are some people that say that, I know of some kindreds that they don't have a set Gothi. So every ritual, someone is democratically elected to run the next ritual. Thank you, just the guy. Gothi's not like a shaman. A shaman, that's different. That's a Volvo. That's a Cirrus is like what a shaman. There are people that have the claims modern day Norse shaman. Shamanism, the word is, some say it's cultural appropriation, some say it's not. I don't believe it is. I believe there was Celtic shamans, druids. So there's a difference between a religious leader. Eric, good question. There's a difference between a religious leader and a seer. You know what I mean? You go to put it in Catholic ways, right? In Catholicism, you go to see the priest, right? When you have questions about the spirituality. You go to an old Italian lady to have the freaking coffee cup read. That's the difference between, a vulva and a goat. Make sense? No, there's no power like that, Eric. It's not a power. None. A kindred, a modern kindred, isn't a fraternity structure. It's not a. There's no power. Like when he's running, when the cult he's running the ritual, he's just, offering, hail Odin. He's calling the gods into the thing. He's running that ritual. There's no power structure like there shouldn't be a power structure, I should say. In a perfect, kindred, there wouldn't be a power structure. It's democratic, and it's more of a leadership role than a power role. You don't want. That happens though. Fucking trolls can't get it together. If any of you guys are watching, sorry. Y'all can't get that shit together. You've been through like fucking 9 boards in the last 6 years, bro. So there's that. Yeah, that's my coffee cup. Yeah, but a shaman would be more like a Volvo. It's someone. A shaman would be someone who's practicing Seder magic. A Gothi isn't necessarily practicing magic. A Gothi is the voice for the group to lead a group voice towards calling the gods in, right? So what's the difference between a ritual, a group ritual, or a public ritual, or a group ritual? What's the difference between that and a morning ritual, right? A morning ritual is personal. I'm trying to build a personal relationship with God, with the gods, with the forces of nature. With the essence that is the other side of that veiled curtain, right? So now, am I like, when I'm doing that with a group, we're trying to pull that in. So it's an amplified. So a ritual is just, depends. It's just a ritual on steroids. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, I saw that the Viking Festival in Lancaster. They got a Viking Festival in Lancaster, and there's a Ren Fair in Doylestown right now today too. I wasn't aware, but I had this plan. Also, I want to take a quick little break. So, and not to take the quick little break. I got to pay the bills. So, go to howtoheathen.myshopify.com. I have room set boxes. I have, we have, I hand make these room boxes. This one is for Loki. The rooms are upstairs. I have my beard oils back on. I have a bunch of things that are up. We have personal protection keychains. I have various items that are for sale. Any purchases of the Modern Hobble, any purchases off of my Shopify store, any merchandise that I'm selling, is directly funds all proceeds for American Heathen. Yeah, it just runs the rituals, could be an advisor. So, all of that, anything that is bought helps fund, helps fund American Heathen. Hope should be finishing up with her career very shortly, and we're going to be hopping on the road. And, I'm going to be coming to a different kindred near you, a different heathen event near you, and I will be documenting all of it, the whole journey. And American Heathen will be born. I'm in the works on my second book, but right now, howtoheathen.shopify.com. As a matter of fact, I could put the link in the description. I got to do that next time I go live. I'll be going live on YouTube. My goal is to refine this into a live podcast. Obviously, I got distracted by comments. I'm not used to YouTube's live format yet. And I also haven't live streamed for a while. I haven't live streamed in about a year and a half. So this was going to be episode 1 of a podcast that I did live here, and then I put it on Spotify. This is just a practice run. I learned the whole thing sideways. If I'm vertical or if I'm sideways, thing like that. Oh, awesome! I love that. Joe got one of the first bottles of beard oil when I made the batch before I packaged it up. I didn't have the link, Eric. The link is heathen.myshopify.com or myshopify.howtoheathen.com. myshopify.howtoheathen.com. One or the other. But the link will be in all my YouTube videos going forward. And I'll be talking about it in all the long form videos. Also, I need something that I got. I'm taken aback by. I was so taken aback by this comment. I'm proud as hell of it. And I want to clarify something. So somebody said something in one of my comments on my videos. Guy was like, yo, this dude, I don't know. Like, he's the most interesting guy. Something about, like, because I'm inner city, I'm hood, but I'm talking about spiritual things that guys that sound and talk and look like me don't usually talk about. And, he said, like, he was complimenting. And he was, it was just, I wasn't something that he was used to. I broke the box. I broke the mold. I did that my whole life. I'm okay with that. That was nice. But then somebody came in and said, another comment, a reply to that comment said, yeah, I thought that too when I first saw him, that he's very influencer with some of his content, and he uses AI in a lot of his videos. I need this to be perfectly clear. I do not ever use AI in my editing. One video, I can tell you the exact video where I used an AI. I used an AI video machine, and I didn't like it. I just wanted to try it out. It was a new feature on CapCut when it came out. One video, I did a video on the Berserker on Stanford Bridge. I did a short. There's a scene, and the prompt that I put into the AI was a drone shot of two medieval armies converging at a bridge. So there's a scene where there's like red guys and blue guys, and they're coming like that. That is the only time I've ever put AI into any one of my videos. Any images that you see, like when I'm doing the dream-like type storytelling, especially for the Norse, the longer stories, the poems, or when I'm just doing that kind of an edit, that is all manually edited. That is all I'm doing it on CapCut on my phone. None of that is like, I need an editing computer. Like, that's a lot of what I'm opening up the Shopify link store for, is to try and stack some money to get an editing computer. So like, and once again, I can't go against my own personal, all right, my microphone is starting to die. All right, that's a good indication I have like 45 minutes with my mic, because it's in order to connect, it's wireless. But one of the reasons too that I waited so long to do merch, I had merch at one time. I had some drop shipping t-shirts, and I on TikTok, and I had some beard oil. And the beard oils I rushed. I didn't do them well. And the t-shirts were terrible. They were, it didn't go well. So me and Hope made this decision that anything that we sell, we're going to make it. And that's the way that I want to keep it. I don't want any of this. I do all of, like, How to Heathen. If you see me on every platform, my books, like I'm putting I got two little things in the works right now, but like the beard oil, the resin art, the box, I do all this. All of this is done, and all of this is done, and this is done by my hands. Me and Hope. That's it. Literally us. She's my resin. The videos, I do all the editing. I do all the graphic design, the label on my bottles. I do all of that. And I have a lot of things up here that I want to get, that I want to get out. I have a whole ass gangster movie based on Norse mythology in my head. And unfortunately, these things, in order to make this, and the devil's in the details, and you gotta be honest and upfront about everything. In order to get to any of this stuff done, it needs financing, and I don't want to unethically make money, ever. Like, that's just not like that's. I don't want to make anything on. I'm not in for any cash grabs. I need things that have longevity. So that's why I do all this shit. That's why I do all this shit on my own. I do everything on my own. I don't outsource, because when I tried doing outsourcing, and I did outsourcing with other Norse pagans, I did all this stuff with other Norse. I did stuff with other Norse pagans where they did, like, t-shirts and stuff, and they never ship shit out. Like, they're getting the money and they weren't shipping. And then I had to send money back to people like that. They paid for. I blocked. Never saw the person again. They had, they sold. I don't know. There was probably like maybe not a lot. Probably I was selling t-shirts like $30. There was probably like 15, 20 sales. And the person that was supposed to do it for me never sent shit out. And I had to send this money back to people because it was on my name. So Ishmael Ahmed. Do I actually believe in the Norse stories? Absolutely. Do I believe them as literal? No. If you believe your holy book as literal, word for word, we probably shouldn't even have a conversation, because you won't like what I got to say. You won't like what I got to say. So, like, with that, yes, I believe in the Norse gods. Yes, I believe. Do I believe that the world's oceans are from Amir's blood? No. I know we're the third rock from the sun. And why do I know that? Because I have wisdom. Because I learned from the god Odin that the pursuit of knowledge is one of the most important aspects in life, that you should be able to, ready to sacrifice everything for knowledge. So if I just read a book word for word and believed it literally, that wouldn't be pursuing knowledge, would it? Yes. Right, yeah, I do all of this as much as I possibly can on my own. But if you believe any path, literally word for word, you're not believing in divinity, you're believing in other men. That's simple. And if you can't see the difference, I don't know what to tell you. Because if you believe in the Abrahamic God and you believe that the Torah, the Quran, or the Bible are correct, and they're literally word for word, I don't know what to tell you. That's the reason that there's reasons that there's issues in this world. That's number one. Um, you know, no, Pagan Prince. Eric is my nephew. He's also my fraternity brother. So, there's that. uh, yeah, so, I mean, well, that's the reason I want to do everything myself, is I know I can do it, and I enjoy it. Like, this is fun to make. This is actually relaxing. Like, I want to show you. Hold on a second. Um, so this is a finished one, right? Completely done. And this is Njord's. I call this one Njord's breath, because on every one of them that I make is gonna be, because they reminded me of the sea. So I make the runes. They're resin casted, and then I do the boxes, and they come with a divination bag, also. So, $75 plus shipping, tax. That's part of, because I'm on Shopify. That's part of it. And these are a lot of work, man. They come in like this. This is how I get the box. Um, so this is how the boxes come into me. So this is how the boxes come into me. And, Eric, when so I was terrible with the felt linings on the first few ones. Like, there's wrinkles, and I finally learned how to get it done, right? Perfect now. And I'm selling the mistakes. So if you get one and there's a mistake on it, it's part of the learning process and it's handcrafted, but they're all numbered. So when I do, they will be worth something, a lot more than that later on. But Eric, this right here, besides being a dedication to the pad, this part, that's a dedication to Pop, because putting this inside is just like carpeting something that's not easy. And all of this, like here, honestly, I didn't even look up like how the wood burn. I just literally took a heat gun and spray paint, and I just went to work. And, whatever. And this is the end results of that. But my stepfather was a master floor mechanic. He did carpets. And he's the one who taught us that we take pride in our work and we do it to the best of our ability. And at first I couldn't do the lining and the felt inside. Now I'm getting perfect with it. And I'll be able to get better. I'm getting better and better and better, because like I just taught myself. I looked at it correctly. I ended up building this so that I could cut it, and then I wrap the felt around it, and I drop it in the box, and then I hot glue on it. But this is the best one I've done so far. I actually got, there's no wrinkles, everything is covered, pretty decent edges, but every one of them I'm trying to get better with and better with and better with. But this is also, like I said, it's like doing floors with my father, so I don't, a lot of it. That's why I want handmade stuff from me and Hopi. Uh, uh, yeah, so, well, it makes me cry every time I freaking do them. Um, so it's a dedication to the ancestors, to my ancestors. And my ancestors aren't even my blood. One of the people that I venerate the most in my ancestral practice isn't even my genetic blood. It's my stepfather, and he's the man who raised me. He taught me everything. So, like, that's why, like, when people are like, "Oh, you got to be a certain," it's my ancestors. He was the all father, not your. Shut the fuck up. Like, like how really, like, you think spirituality knows physical bounds? You're not getting it. You're not getting it. Anything that has to do with that that's constraints of the physical world. And if you believe that you are a human being that had a spiritual experience, I don't know what to tell you, because that's not what happened. What's happening is you're a spiritual being having a human experience. So when you have that reconnection back, it feels foreign, because it's not something that you're used to being with. You're not something that that spark, that connection, that flow, that you're not used to that. Um, Actually, so, like, you're not used to that when we have that reconnection back to to the spark, to the beginning, to the void. And I don't care what you look at, any spirituality, any path, all of them, right? They all talk about the void. They all talk about nothing in the beginning. They all talk about this source, this where everything came from. Everything, everyone, every essence, every atom. We are all fucking cosmic stardust. This is scientific fact. That's not, like, I know it sounds like some new age woo-woo shit, but scientifically, our genetic molecules, our DNA strands are made up of cosmic stardust. And, like, everything, everyone. So, like, that's why I have kind of like an animistic approach to, like, I believe that everything has a soul. Every living thing, I believe, has a soul. I believe it has an essence, and we all play our part. That's what the Ragnarok is. That's the pecking order. That's the seasonal changes. That's the food chain. So. And the other thing is, like, the cosmos, the cosmology of a path, right? It's a tree. It's always a tree. It's always a tree of life. But then when you go back to being the tree of life, right? The tree, double helix model is a tree, right? Double tree. That's what it's called. It's a double tree helix. The DNA structure is a double tree helix model, right? That's what it's called. So, like, there's so much that is proven through other things, and there's things that are exaggerations, or things that are symbolic, or things that are metaphors. I believe that every life lesson is in the poetry. I also remember that it's poetry, and honestly, the skaldic stories, they ain't nothing. They weren't nothing but ancient, like, medieval rap, bro. For real. It's like ancient medieval hip hop. Like, the skalds would, with drums and with, they would tell the stories of the gods around the campfires, and it was entertainment. And skalds, they would have flightings. They would literally talk shit before they fought. Like, they literally had, like, They literally had like street level, like Bronx fucking rap battles on the corners before wars. That's a real fucking thing. Like, flightings were a real thing. So, like, it's funny because I get some people that push back on me because I'm so into hip hop. Like, I mean, I also know, like, the litmus test, right? The absolute litmus test for, if you want to know if somebody's fucking got problematic ideologies that think that this is the most important thing in the spirituality, you just ask their opinion on Loki. If they hate him, it's a good chance that if they don't like Loki, there's a good chance they don't like other people. It's that simple. All the answers are in the poetry. And they're in people's perception of the poetry and the way that they read it. Like, I got a whole video scripted up about Loki, right? Loki's the antagonist in all the stories, right? He's an agent of change, absolutely. And, some people want to say that Loki was not in the Azir. Loki is not Azir because of one line in the Volupspa. And it's a hard translation because the translation key is against the Azir. Why would, Rapper's poetry always existed, right? Like, for real. Like, the Norse were like the original, like, the odd thing was literally, like, modern day, it's the hip hop parties in 1562 Sedgwick that started the hip hop community with DJ Kool Herc in the basement of that project building. Basically what the freaking odd thing was for 7 days. And anybody that doesn't know what the odd thing is, it was the government, the overseeing government of the tribes. It was their democratic way. They came together and they would have discussions and votes and it was their community, their federal government, basically. The tribes were the states. The Fed was the odd thing. So like, the odd thing was basically like the rap parties. But what was he saying? Oh, with Loki. So like, Loki. Why did Loki go? So people say he's not the Azir, right? Because of that one line, Loki is against the Azir. If Loki was not part of the Azir and he was the enemy of the gods the whole time, right? That people try to portray it as. Sometimes some people read it as. If he was, why would they make the statement of Loki was against the Azir? That's like saying Tony Soprano was against the Sopranos. Or, that's like Sammy the Bull. When Sammy the Bull went against Gotti's family, it was stated, God, Sammy's against Gotti. So it was such a shock. That's what I read it as. That's how I read it. So I believe that Loki was part of the Azir, a major part of it. But I don't believe that. Like, I read the Eddas, I read it as a war between brothers over children. That's how I see it. It's absolutely how I fucking see it. I see Odin mistreating Loki's kids, Loki getting revenge, sending his beloved away, and the battle that ensued from it. That's what I see. Some people don't see that. Some people see this trickster god, this destruction, this chaos incarnate that does things just to do things. Y'all obviously were never in the trenches for nothing if that's the way you view it. Because I know dudes on the street that are ones you need like Loki. You know what I mean? You need somebody that's going to do no matter. You need somebody who's going to get their back blown out by a fucking horse to get the job done. Like when you're doing dirt like that for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know. Like, I don't think was he a freak? Yeah. Was he an evil? No, absolutely not. He was just willing to go further than anybody else ever was. That's the way I look at it. And I read the stories. I heard the whole, he did in the hall. During the Locust Center, he put 2 and 2 on before he even walked in the door. Yeah, I'm making a statement. I'm walking in here. I'm dropping people. Like, I see it. I see both sides of it. And I feel like Odin treated him like a kid brother, and he said, "I'll show you." I don't know. That's just the way I see some of it. Nah, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think. Well, like, they say like Loki never. Part of the arguments is Loki never claimed hell or Fenrir, or he wasn't proud of. How do we know? It's part of the stories are one-sided. You know what I mean? If like if he loved his kid and I messed up the kid's chances at something, or punished the kid for things he didn't do, I'm not gonna say that was his favorite child. Like, if I later on when I'm telling the story, what side of the story do we got? Obviously, we're not getting Loki's, right? Nah, I don't think there is. See, Eric, that's the other thing too. There's no good and there's no evil. There's just shades of gray, bro. Like, for real. Like, there's no good. We don't. This mindset. There's no good and there's no evil. There's only 3 things that are talked about in the law, in tradition, that will get you sent to Nastron to be gnawed by Nidhogg, right? So those are the 3 sins, mortal sins, right? Whatever the fuck you want to call them. They're not sins. But the big 3, right, that people talk about. So adultery, murder, and I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, and breaking and all, right? But on the living one, that's only like the M word in the first. I'm trying to be family friendly because of YouTube. I don't know. I'm used to TikTok. I don't know what language I can get away with. But that M word in the first is a problem. Laying in wait, hiding, doing it like a coward. Taking somebody's life wasn't a problem. Just doing it in that way was. It was unhonorable. It was bad for the tribe. The other one, adultery, bad for the tribe. Bad for the community. Breaking an oath, bad for the community. Community came before the individual. That's all it was, you know. Right, there just is. Is a shark evil? To us, maybe. It just is. He just is. A shark is an eating machine. It's just there to devour, right? Alligator, is that bad? No. It's not bad, it's just its nature. So, like, there is no real good and evil. Can you do things that are ill intent? Like, if you don't hurt the tribe, don't mess up, don't do things that are gonna risk the longevity of the tribe. All right. That's my first live stream. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do a few practice ones, but I'm gonna be live on YouTube between every Monday Eastern Standard Time between 6-7 p.m. Thank you for joining me. I have a video coming out. I'm working on it now, where I'm actually going to explain the heathen mindset using skateboarding. I think it's a unique approach, and I think you're gonna love it. I'm trying to get it out for next week. Like I said, I do all this editing myself, so I'm not gonna one of the things that I was doing last year in the beginning is I was putting out 2 videos a week. I literally had no life. I literally went to work. I woke up. I edited videos till I either had to go to work or fell asleep editing, and then that's all I did. I literally worked, slept, ate, edit. That's it. So I decided that if I put one out every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, I'm okay with it. When I'm making enough money off videos where I'll put 1 a week out. Or absolutely when I get a freaking a computer, because I can render stuff a lot faster than doing it on my phone. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. Um, and stay fucking savage. No, how do I get out of it? Oh, X up top.